The combat training hall of the Galactic Military Academy fell silent as Cadet Erin Vale stepped onto the mat. Around her, students from 43 different species watched with barely concealed curiosity. It was her first day in advanced combat theory, and she was the only human in a class designed for the galaxy's most elite warriors. Instructor Zeltor, a towering Crithian with 4 arms and exoskeletal plating that had survived 3 wars, regarded the small human with what might have been amusement. His species had conquered 17 star systems through pure martial prowess. What could this soft-skinned biped possibly offer? Cadet Vale, Zeltor's voice rumbled through his translator. You will demonstrate your species' combat capabilities. We begin with basic defensive maneuvers. Erin nodded, her expression calm. Yes, instructor. Should I use standard academy techniques or human basics? A ripple of chittering laughter spread through the class. The Vexorian students, slug-like beings with natural armor, found the question particularly amusing. The concept that humans might have their own basics seemed absurd to species who had mastered interstellar warfare millennia before Earth discovered fire. Your basics will suffice, Zeltor said, his mandibles clicking in what passed for a smile among his kind. He activated the training drone, a standard model programmed for intermediate-level attacks. It hovered before Erin, sensors gleaming. Among the class, this drone had a reputation. Last week, it had sent a Thoraxian cadet to the medical bay with 3 fractured thorax plates. The drone struck. What happened next would be analyzed in Academy archives for decades. Erin didn't dodge. Instead, she moved through the attack, her body twisting at an angle that made several students gasp. Her hand, small and seemingly fragile compared to the armored appendages around her, shot forward and struck the drone's sensor array with surgical precision. The machine stuttered, but she wasn't finished. In a fluid motion that defied the class's understanding of bipedal movement, Erin pivoted, drove her elbow into the drone's stabilizer, and followed through with a strike that sent the machine crashing to the mat. Total elapsed time, 2.3 seconds. The silence was absolute. Basic defensive maneuvers complete, instructor, Erin said, not even breathing hard. Zeltor's 4 arms hung motionless. In his 70 years of teaching, he had never seen a cadet of any species disable a drone that quickly. That was defensive? Yes, sir. Human martial arts teach that the best defense is controlled aggression. We call it Krav Maga, one of our gentler combat systems. Gentler? The word seemed to stick in Zeltor's translator. A Vexorian student, brave or foolish, raised a tentacle. Instructor, perhaps it was luck? The drone malfunctioned? Zeltor activated 5 drones simultaneously, an exercise typically reserved for final-year students preparing for special operations. Cadet Vale, demonstrate again. Erin's eyes narrowed slightly, the first sign of true focus. All 5, sir? Unless your basics are insufficient? What followed would later be called the Vale demonstration, in hushed conversations across the academy. Erin moved like water and struck like lightning. She didn't fight the drones. She dismantled them. A spinning kick that shouldn't have generated such force from human musculature sent one drone into a wall. She caught another mid-flight, used its momentum against it, and hurled it into a third. Her movements were economical, precise, and absolutely brutal. When the last drone clattered to the floor, sparking and broken, Erin stood in the center of the mat, finally showing signs of exertion, a light sheen on her forehead, nothing more. The class erupted. Not in applause, but in alarm. A Thoraxian student backed away, defensive plates instinctively expanding. The Vexorians retracted into their shells. Even the Crithian warriors, who prided themselves on fearlessness, seemed unsettled. How? Zeltor finally managed. Your species has only been spacefaring for 2 centuries. How do you possess such combat sophistication? Erin wiped her forehead, looking genuinely confused by the reaction. Instructor, humans have been fighting each other for our entire existence. We've had roughly 10,000 years to perfect warfare, against ourselves. What I showed you is just basic military combatives. We teach this to every soldier. Every soldier? A student whispered in horror. Every soldier, Erin confirmed. We also have boxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Sambo, wrestling, Kung Fu, hundreds of martial arts developed over millennia. And that's just unarmed combat. Would you like me to demonstrate our weapons proficiency? Zeltor's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of deep distress among Crithians. That won't be necessary. He turned to address the class, his voice carrying a weight it hadn't before. Students, today you have learned a critical lesson about humanity. They are newcomers to the stars, yes, but they are not newcomers to war. He looked back at Aaron with something that might have been respect or caution. Cadet Vale, you mentioned this was one of your gentler systems? Yes, sir. Krav Maga is designed to end conflicts quickly with minimum necessary force. It's what we teach to civilians for self-defense. The class absorbed this information with visible discomfort. Their species had developed combat techniques for conquest, for honor, for territorial disputes with other worlds. Humans had developed hundreds of ways to kill each other on a single planet, then casually labeled them civilian self-defense. Dismissed, Zeltor said quietly. As the students filed out, several gave Aaron a wide berth. She seemed not to notice, gathering her belongings with the same casual efficiency she'd shown in combat. Zeltor approached her. Cadet Vale, I must ask, if this is basic, what do human elite forces learn? Aaron smiled, and for the first time, Zeltor saw something predatory in that expression. Something that reminded him why Earth's ancient predators had gone extinct, not from natural causes, but because humans had hunted them to death. Instructor, you really don't want to know, as she left. Zeltor updated his class roster notes. Next to Cadet Aaron Vale's name, he added a single word in Crithian, a term reserved for apex predators of the most dangerous, worlds. Survivor. The galaxy was only beginning to understand what humanity's addition to the interstellar community truly meant. They had looked at humans and seen fragile beings from a death world, survivors by luck. They hadn't understood the crucial truth. Humans weren't survivors of their world's dangers. They were the danger their world had survived.